All right, thanks everyone for attending the athletics meeting. Mrs. Cup, the recording secretary, will take attendance at this time.
Okay, Steve Holland. Larry Stern.
Yes.
Wayne Wentz.
Yes.
Tom McCarroll.
Yes.
Suzanne Holland. Kyle Spots.
Here.
And Mr. Cleaver.
And then just
Steve Holland.
Steve is here. I don't know if he has it muted. Steve, can you hear us? Yeah. Steve,
Mr.
can you? All right, we'll get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. So please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
To the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, before we get started with the agenda, is there any public comment in regards to the agenda?
I do have one public comment requesting to speak, Mr. Bradley, regarding the agenda.
Good morning. Why is this agenda being first published during the meeting? Oops,
Mr. Bradley, are you able to hear us?
Yes, good morning. It appears again that this is the first time anyone in the public is seeing this agenda. It also appears that there's going to be pertinent documents shared and not provided to the public in this meeting. This is not in accordance with our LASD policy or the Sunshine Act. Secondly, it appears that during the Finance Committee meeting, not only is this district extremely over budget, but also the administration took it upon themselves to try to change the sports medicine provider, yet no board involvement took place. Is that on this agenda anywhere? I can only see up to old business and winter sports. Can you please scroll down? Who's hosting this meeting? Is it a board member or is it still Mr. Cleaver? So where is, slow down, sir, where is the sports medicine proposal in this athletics?
There's nothing on this agenda regarding the sports medicine proposal.
That's a $1 million service provider that's attempting to being changed. Why is it not part of the athletic committee meeting? Who's running this meeting, first of all? Which director is running the meeting? Is it you, Larry? Is it Steve? Is it Wayne? Which director is in charge of this committee? Who is the chair of this committee, sir? Steve, are you the chair of this committee?
I believe Mr. Wentz is the chair of the athletic committee.
Mr. Wentz, excellent. Mr. Wentz, did you create this agenda at all? Did you participate in the creation of this agenda?
No, but I had it last week.
You had it last week. So they sent it to you. Did you release it to the public as a requirement of fidelity under the LASD policy?
Mr. Bradley, this agenda was sent to the committee members and posted on the website last week.
We do not see it on the website, sir. Can you please explain where it is on the website?
I'm sure Mrs. Wagner could explain where she posted it.
Okay, Mrs. Wagner, are you participating in this meeting?
She is not. It's posted
Okay, so
place.
that's a nice diversion, Mr. Spots. Do you know where you put it? Who put it on the website?
I didn't put it on, but it's on the school website.
Somebody did, right? So if I search the school website for agenda, we'll see it?
Do you have any other comments as it pertains to the agenda?
Yes, I do. Where is it published on the website? And who created it? And why didn't Wayne create any of it? And how come the sports medicine proposal is not on it? Thank you. I'd like an answer from a director, either Larry, Steve, or the chairman, Mr. Wentz.
Just clarification, the agendas are posted under the district website under files and documents where the agendas are usually found. So if you click under files and documents, it would be posted there. District files and documents. Thank you.
I will take a look right now while we're doing it. At the same time, I'd like an answer from one of the directors, not Mr. Cleaver, diverting this information.
At this time, could we just move on to old business?
Actually, I'm also looking on the files and documents. Mr. Cleaver, would you like to direct me somewhere? You're thinking it's on here? I'm looking under buildings and grounds. I'm looking under finance. I'm looking under policy. I'm looking under athletics. None of them seem to have the agenda for these years. They end in March of 2020. The athletic committee ends in November of 2019.
Just for clarification, if you go under files and documents, you click on district and you click on athletic agenda, you will see it. Thank you. At this point, there are no other comments for agenda items requested.
All right, we will move on with our agenda. Old business, coach's handbook. This I know was discussed at the March meeting. It was presented to the committee in February to review, to look at, among some other members of the district to look at. It's a brand new document that was created this year. Outlines, expectations and among other things of our coaches in our district. A lot of districts have coaches handbooks. Ours was not, I don't think we had one. So we, created one. Myself, Mr. Carroll, high school administration worked together to collaborate and create a coach's handbook. Coach's handbook was sent out to the community members for review to look at. It was discussed at the March meeting. Got in attendance and looking to get a recommendation from the committee to send it to the school board, the entire school board for review, and to basically approve it as a document moving forward from the district. Most of our documents, athletics, the code of conduct, other things are board approved every year or whenever there's a change. So this would, just follow suit with that with a school board improvement. So looking to have the committee make that recommendation to move this document to the school board for review and discussion at the next school board meeting.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay. Other items that we discussed previously at the March meeting, which I think if you scroll down, Mr. Cleaver, there should be a copy of the coach's handbook there, so you could scroll through that. There's a copy of the handbook. It's a pretty lengthy document that is 14 pages long, so there's a lot of information in there. Again, that's on the website for everybody to review. It was discussed at the March meeting. So it's been out there for 3-4 months now for review. And this is our uniform cycle. Basically, every 5 years, we are getting new uniforms for our sports teams. So it's on a cycle, a 5-year rotation. As you could see, with budgeted amounts going all the way up to the 2025-26 school year. You will see football listed twice because of the expense of their uniforms. They get home uniforms one year and away uniforms the next. So that's why they are listed twice in the cycle, as opposed to every other sport is listed once, because they get both sets home and away at the same time, the other sports, whereas football does it on back-to-back years. So this is a document that I've been working off of since I've taken over as the AD, I think 10 years ago here. So that was something that was not established, that we established, and we've been working off this. So I just wanted to run it by the committee. So you have an idea of what the uniform cycle looks like. Some uniforms are the 5-year cycle seems to work pretty well. Expenses stay pretty even throughout the 5 years, so it's pretty easy to budget for that amount. Year in and year out, because you have an idea of what you're expending, for the years down the road. So just a document to look at. The business office already has a copy of this and factors that into the yearly budget as well. So any discussion or comments from the committee members on that document? Okay. Winter sports. Winter sports ended, and usually we have a end of the year winter sports get together with the students, faculty and stuff, and we celebrate the accolades earned. This year, with the inability to do so, the end of the year awards were announced via the school's athletic Twitter page, which is where a lot of our accolades and announcements have been occurring. The winter sports, find it quick. The boys basketball, we announced the letter winners via Twitter. Our MVP, Sportsmanship Award recipient, Scholar Athlete for our boys basketball, wrestling, and girls basketball teams were announced via Twitter. And those were sent out on May 5th. So that's when that information went out to everybody. So far, we've seen positive feedback from our inability to get together with staff and students, but we still want to honor all the people and all the students. Can't imagine the season's ending and not having your spring season, so we're doing what we can with those positions. Coaching positions, our winter head coaches, Trevor Miller, boys basketball, Joe Berezwa, girls basketball, and Floyd Brown, wrestling. Those are our winter head coaches. Just, having anybody get any concerns or anything worth discussing. The plan for our coaching positions is to hold off on any approvals moving forward due to Act 13 in case there's some type of delay in a fall sports season or a additional delay in sports. Act 13, as of now, as everybody's kind of aware, requires the payment of certain positions. So we are planning on waiting to hold on approvals on some coaches until later date. But just wanted to have the opportunity to see if any of the committee members have any concerns with some of those programs or anything they want to address at this time with those positions.
No, those three are fine with me.
Okay. Athletics and building grounds, not much, we had everything set up, ready to go for the spring sports season, and then it got canceled. So right now we're just transitioning everything into kind of summer mode, putting stuff away and, putting our grounds program into effect, whether, the fertilizer and seed of the areas and stuff. So that's in kind of full motion right now. Not really much else happening. There's some projects that the grounds crews would like to work on for the specific fields and stuff. And hopefully this year with the early start, we'll get a better chance to complete some of those. Schuylkill League follow-up. We had a meeting via Zoom on April 30th and also on May 7th. typical end of the year, spring meetings. We usually have monthly meetings with the league, and we continue to have those via the Zoom software system that we're using today. So nothing really major coming out from the league or any real discussion points from the league. District 11, we have a spring meeting that was held via email, basically some discussion on some areas of concern and stuff via email, but nothing really to any changes or anything worth discussing. PIAA update. Basically, the PIAA is following the governor's guidelines in regards to return to normal activities. As it stands now, July 1st is the return to activities date where schools and activities can return to normal activities. Obviously, that date is very fluid and could change with some of the counties transitioning. It'll be interesting to see what certain areas are able to do and if some aren't, able to open earlier than others. But right now, July 1st is the date where PIAA, the much anticipated date where PIAA activities can return to normal. And that's basically where the PIAA stance has been from the beginning. They are following the governor's guidelines. So as information becomes available on that, I will definitely keep the committee up to date. New business, looking to see if the committee would be okay with increasing our athletic committee meetings to a monthly occurrence. Looking to have a discussion on meeting second Tuesday of each month at 9 a.m., similar to what we do now, but just meet on a monthly basis. We'd be able to run more stuff through the committee and, get stuff addressed sooner if needed, as opposed to bi-weekly. So I think that would have its advantages to do that. So looking to see if the committee members would like to discuss doing that.
Yeah, that's fine. We're here for building and grounds, so as it is. So fine with me, Kyle.
It's okay with me.
Okay, thank you. And then spring athletes, being honored via Twitter. All our spring athletes, our seniors, we are posting 2 a day during the week. I think we only have like 4 or 5 left to go. We've been doing it for a couple of weeks now and honoring those spring athletes that didn't get a chance to get honored for their senior night. Worked with the high school art department to come up with a banner with their picture and all their information on who they'd be escorted by and future plans and everything. And we've got a tremendous amount of positive feedback on that. Again, it's just doing what we can to honor those kids that missed out on their last chance to compete, as an athlete. So we, doing that on our Twitter page, and the high school page is retweeting it and stuff. So we're doing everything we can via the platforms that we have the ability to do it to honor those kids. And then, the plan is to continue to do so with different ideas. We have, we have our scholar athletes, our overall scholar athletes, recipients. Every year, senior award recipient gets a $100 scholarship from the league. And this year, our scholar athlete winners were Kaya Slaw, who ranked first in the class. She lettered in field hockey and track and field, and she will be attending Bucknell University to continue her track and field career. And our male scholar athlete was Nicholas Karpowitz, who's ranked 9th in the class. He lettered in cross country and track, and he plans on attending Penn State. Congratulations to those 2 individuals. Obviously, scholar athlete recipient is one of the premier awards you can get as an athlete, in my opinion. The focus on academics and being, high quality academics while balancing the athletics is awesome. So congratulations to those individuals. Anything else or any other discussion before we kick it back to public comments, or anything from the committee that they would like to discuss, or anything Brent brought up?
One quick question. Do we pay our spring coaches, or how does that work?
At this point, the Act 13 requires all employees to be paid, so that would include spring coaches as well. And anyone who was approved before March 13th for any position is being paid by the school district.
Thank you very much.
And that's why we're kind of holding off on approving all the fall assistant coaches. They have not been approved yet, so we are holding off on that to try and avoid running into this issue should there be a delay in the fall sports season. Spoke with the business office, and that's the direction that we're going to go here. Is so the earliest we would probably look would be June if July 1st looks like a return date for the PIAA. If that gets pushed back, then we would probably push back the hiring date to correspond with that for the remainder of our fall positions. Any other comments or anything from the committee members before we send it to public comment?
Mr. Spots, this is Larry Stern. I need to log off. I have another meeting that I must attend. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Cleaver, if there's any comments from the public.
Yes, I do have Mr. Bradley is requesting to comment. Let me. Mr. Bradley?
Yes, so the first question I have is, the Sunshine Act requires that you guys shall provide a reasonable opportunity to comment prior to official action. And official action is defined as recommendations and by any part of this agency, and the committee is part of the agency, all under the Sunshine Code. So why are you guys taking recommendations and not allowing the public to speak? That's the first question. The second one is, what changes were made to alleviate the hazing and alleged assault issues involving students? And third, in the past, did the student managers actually have access to keys and buildings inside of this district? And then the next was, you guys had a motion to hire. Again, you need to have public comment, and who reviewed these credentials of these individuals prior to that motion to hire or recommend to hire? Third is the PIAA is apparently not able to operate until July 1st, currently under the governor's guidelines. How are we doing a graduation if they're not able to do it? And I'm a little disappointed that, once again, it appears that this committee meeting is not run by directors, but by subordinates within the board that are silencing and not complying with the Sunshine Act. Thank you. Yep, so the first one, Steve or Wayne, whoever's left in this meeting, why did you not provide public comment prior to making a recommendation? Wayne, Steve, can you hear me?
Again, as we said in the past, Mr. Bradley, this are committee meetings. The recommendations are made at the school board meetings, and individuals will have an opportunity who attend those school board meetings to also comment on agenda items at the school board meeting. These are committee meetings.
Correct, Mr. Cleaver, and I asked the board, but since you're answering, do you not believe that the committee meeting is part of the agency body, the government itself? Are you trying to say that the agency,
Mr.
body, and
Bradley,
all
you
the
had
committees thereof, authorized by the body to take official action?
You had my response. Just because you don't agree with the way people respond to you doesn't mean you get to continue to ask the same question. You have my response.
I'm looking for a response from a director, sir, not one of our subordinates. Apparently, the directors are the ones that took an oath of fidelity to honor these laws. You did not.
And just for the record, to anybody else attending, Mr. Bradley does not want to hear from the administration on his responses.
Correct. I want to hear from the directors on a response because they took an oath of fidelity to
I
honor these
understand,
laws.
and I just, in case somebody else is expecting an
Sure.
answer from someone that might actually know the answer, we just leave it at that.
Hey, Mr. Spots, it's very, very becoming of a director to ask its administration to provide an answer, especially if you have just announced that you have one, but they should ask you for it if they think you have it. Just like what changes were made to alleviate the hazing and the alleged assault issues involving the students. If a director who's running the meeting feels that their administration has input, they most definitely, as a leader, should recognize that information and ask for it, seek the input, and have it provided for the public record, just like they should for any stakeholder within the meeting. And same with the question, did the students' managers have keys or access in the past, since this handbook clearly states that they will not in the future?
Are you asking me or a director?
One more time, Mr. Spots. The committee meetings are assemblies of our government body, the agency, which is the elected officials. They call into those meetings some of their subordinates, like yourself and Mr. Cleaver, to answer and address the stakeholders and create input. So if Mr. Wentz or Mr. Holland chooses to address you and ask you for this information, I would love to hear the answer from you. But it has to be proper protocol, sir.
For the point of this meeting to move forward, the managers have never had access to keys. It's just something we included to prevent it from ever happening.
Okay, then how did those students get into those buildings in the past? Who opened them?
Some of the buildings were left open from the beginning.
Meaning they were never locked?
They were locked at some points, but throughout the day, because of the way our personnel was in and out of areas, they were left unlocked, and that was an issue that's been addressed moving forward.
It was addressed by whom? You muffled out. You said it was addressed by?
Yeah, I said it was addressed, yes.
By whom, sir? Who addressed the issue?
In some subordinate administration.
Under the direction of whom?
Any other questions?
Under the direction of whom and under what policy change did that occur? Who changed the policy and said, let's do this instead, and then enacted that policy?
For what?
So, I apologize. Apparently, I'm providing remedial information. The government school are run by policy created by a elected board. The administration, subordinates, cannot do any authority of government, any actions, spend any money, collect any taxes, or do any actions that are not directly provided by the policy of this district and school code and federal law. These are the responsibilities. So you cannot act without direction from a superior, which would be your board. So therefore, if some change took place, it is those policies, those administrative actions by the board to that administration that mitigates the risk, the liability of students being harmed, that mitigates the risk of overconsumption, that mitigates the risk of corruption and waste. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for accountability. The board of directors have the responsibility, the silence of the community through the ineffective elected board officials like you're witnessing right now by Mr. Holland and Mr. Wentz that fail to understand that these actions took place. Students were hurt, and they have not mitigated those risks. That's what we're trying to fix, Mr. Spots. Thank you.
Understood. Along the same lines, I have not been given a direction by you or any other board members outside this committee on improvements or ways or ideas that you felt needed to be addressed. So I guess you're fine with status quo.
Absolutely not, sir. And
Is
apparently,
there spots
I've
at
been
this time
muted.
we have no other?
Apparently, I've been muted, but that
comments
is
from
absolutely
individuals
not
have
the
not
case,
commented.
sir. Not the case.
All right.
It is the
Motion
responsibility of this board to do it.
Or is it motion to adjourn the meeting then?
You're not allowing me
moved.
to speak, sir. You're
I'll
not
second
allowing me
it.
to speak. I have my hand raised. I'm
All
making a
right. Thank
comment
you all
back
for
to the.
attending.
Thank you.